You are stirring the pot on social media about Gronk. While I was running the marathon.
I didn't even think putting the statistics of two all-time tight ends next to each other was stirring the pot. I was just trying to open up, the eyes. As we know, many of the Patriots fans in the world live in their little cocoons where Tom Brady's the greatest football player that's ever played. Bill Belichick's the greatest coach that's ever coached. Gronkowski's the greatest tight end that's ever tight ended. Teddy Bruschi's the most dominant defensive player of all time. Foxborough's the best stadium. Boston has the best culture. They're the finest people. New England clam chowder is the best food. And all I was merely trying to do was open their eyes to the fact that if you think Rob Gronkowski is the greatest tight end of all time, you should eat New England clam chowder until the potatoes and clams are coming out your ears and you are, floating in, the Boston Harbor.
So Gronk retired yesterday. He played how many seasons?
9 seasons.
9 seasons in the NFL. Had an amazing career. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
But your problem is that people, again, I missed pretty much most of this.
Yeah.
Your problem is that people are trying to say Gronk was the greatest tight end of all time, which I would agree with you there that he is not.
Well, first of all,
Tony Gonzalez, right?
Tony Gonzalez is, without a doubt, the greatest tight end of all time. And my tweet that I was stirring people up was because Antonio Gates still has not officially retired. He wasn't on the team last year, and then he got picked up by the Chargers. He's once again a free agent. I imagine he will probably get picked up again. Doesn't seem like he wants to retire. And the bottom line is Antonio Gates has had a significantly better career than Rob Gronkowski.
See, I might argue that. Why are you saying that?
So here's the thing.
I'm pulling up your tweet right now.
Here's the thing. And that's just a look at their career stats. But
what about yards per catch?
Okay. Great. But here's the thing. Here's Antonio Gates and Rob Gronkowski through 9 years.
Okay.
Antonio Gates, 593 receptions. Rob Gronkowski, 521 receptions. So 72 more receptions for Gates. Yards, 7,783 for Gates. Gronkowski, 7,861. So about 82 more yards for Gronk. TDs, dead even, basically. 76 and 79. Rob 79 to Gates 76. So through their first 9 years, they essentially played identical careers.
What's yards per catch?
13 to 15.
So they're very similar. Okay, I didn't know.
Through 9 years.
Again, I didn't know that.
They had identical 9 years. Now, Antonio Gates, that wasn't Antonio Gates' best 9 years. Obviously, that's Rob Gronkowski's best 9 years, as it's his only 9 years. But it's
so hold on. Let me just take a step back. So the first 9 years, the stats you just read off, I do agree. Again, I didn't do a deep dive like you did. They are extremely comparable. So why is Gates better? I would say from what you just said, statistically, they're basically on par with each other.
Right. And then Gates played 9 more years.
Okay.
So, I mean, your contribution in the NFL, like we're talking about the whole resume here, right?
Yeah.
Through 9 years, they're the same player. Is anybody talking about Antonio Gates being the greatest tight end of all time if he retired 9 years ago?
No.
And again, that's not Gates' best 9 years. That's his first 9 years. That's Gronk's first 9 years because I think everybody agrees the reason Gronk is retiring is there's a wall that's getting hit here. Physically, I don't know, concussions-wise, injuries-wise, how much he's actually contributing-wise. Like, the bottom line is you don't compare 2018 Gronk and 2018 Antonio Gates because Antonio Gates is 10 years older. But you can compare year 10 Antonio Gates with year 10 Rob Gronkowski.
What about this argument? Well,
and so yesterday when I put that up and I put up career stats, I mean, this might be my favorite argument of all time. Somebody goes, I guess Frank Gore is better than Barry Sanders then. Well, if you look at Barry Sanders' whole career, which was 9 years, he had 15,000 yards and 99 touchdowns, and he averaged 5 yards a carry. And Frank Gore had 11,000 yards and 64 touchdowns. So the idea that Barry Sanders had 50% more rushing yards in the same amount of times played as Frank Gore makes that comparison literally the worst thing that anybody's ever interjected in any sports conversation ever.
Yeah.
Yes, Antonio Gates' career stats dwarf Gronk's because he played longer. But guess what? His first 9 years also are exactly what Gronk's were.
Well, I'm glad you did that, actually, because that's what I think we need to hear. Again, I didn't know that either. When you compare them side by side, they are basically on par with each other.
Now, how about this? Who's judging tight ends on their rings? Fucking lunatics. If you're arguing Rob Gronkowski is better than Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Jason Witten, Shannon Sharp, any of these people because of the team success of the New England Patriots, get in the ground and have somebody fucking SpongeBob SquarePants you. Bury yourself. What a ludicrous argument.
Yeah, I agree. This comes back to the central point we've been preaching on this show. You can't keep bringing rings into it. Especially
for tight ends.
And especially for...
Considering Gronk, one, was on injured reserve for a Super Bowl that they won, was literally outjumped by Chase Blackburn that cost them a Super Bowl that they lost the Super Bowl against he's lost multiple Super Bowls, he's won multiple Super Bowls, he sat out one Super Bowl for injury. His career is a fucking Super Bowl wash at best.
Well, obviously he had the amazing catch this year,
great,
which helped
but the idea that you're arguing the Patriots won 3 Super Bowls before Gronk. The Patriots have 6 Super Bowls in the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era. 4 of those, Rob Gronkowski did not participate in.
Yeah.
So you could almost argue that the Patriots are a more successful team without Rob Gronkowski than they are with him.
Well,
in a Super Bowl or bust league.
I wouldn't argue that.
Right. I wouldn't argue it either. Because whether or not a player is on the field for a Super Bowl that a team wins is not a fucking factor when you're talking about career tight ends.
But I don't want to take... I know what you're saying. I don't want to take anything away from Gronk. Gronk had a great career.
Fantastic.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Now kill yourself if you think he's the best tight end of all time.
He's 100% one of a kind, though. I mean, on the field, he was so tough to cover. Now, this isn't a stat, but I might say from a visual eye test, I could argue, in my opinion, he might have been more difficult to cover than some of those other guys.
Sure.
Than an Antonio Gates, than a Shannon Sharp. Because he was just such a physical freak. He was just so damn tough to cover.
Yeah, and also...
injury prone.
With one comes the other, right? Oh, he's a tight end that's split out all the time. And he's got a bionic fucking arm brace, and he's got a bionic leg brace, and he got outjumped by Chase Blackburn because he was hurt. His back, his knee, his head, his concussions, his elbows. Yeah. That comes with the territory, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. Are we going to address the playoff numbers for these guys? What is your reaction to that?
You're asking me for what? Cumulative playoff stats for a guy who played on the New England Patriots versus Antonio Gates versus Tony Gonzalez on a Chiefs team that didn't win a playoff game until this season?
I'm just saying what the comment says.
No, but I'm asking you to play the devil's advocate, to be the voice of the people. So
I think that's where the team game plays.
So New England Patriots make it to the Super Bowl basically every year, before Gronk and after Gronk. They won more Super Bowls without Gronk than they've won with Gronk. The Kansas City Chiefs don't win a playoff game until last season since Joe Montana played. And I'm judging Tony Gonzalez's career on the fact that he never played in a playoff game.
Yeah.
That's the Barry Sanders
versus
Emmitt Smith argument.
Barry Sanders never played in the playoffs.
I mean,
once or twice.
It's ludicrous. It's a team game. Yes. By the way, here's the thing. Gronk's playoff stats are part of why he gets to be a first ballot Hall of Famer while quitting after 9 years.
Yeah.
Cool. But you know what? All the reasons you love Gronk, is part of the factor too. Gronk's on the boat having the Bud Lights. Some fucking Gronk smash. Gronk fucks strippers, fucks cheerleaders. The Gronk brothers fucking do push-ups all summer long. Okay, Gronk can't stay healthy. Gronk quit after 9 years. Did I play in the NFL 9 years? No. Is Gronk a better person than me physically in every regard? Of course he is. But I'm not Antonio Gates. I'm not Jason Witten. I'm not Tony Gonzalez. I'm not Shannon Sharp. I'm not Kellen Winslow. I'm not comparing him to me. I'm comparing him to you who want to call him the greatest tight end of all time. To you people out there that do. To do that to Tony Gonzalez is offensive. To do that to Antonio Gates is offensive. Who's a bigger Mike Trout? Do you think there's a bigger Mike Trout fan in the world than me that doesn't root for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? I love Mike Trout. If Mike Trout retires today, he's not the greatest baseball player of all time. Is he pacing to be the greatest baseball player of all time? Yeah. Is he the greatest baseball player of all time right now? Of course not. A lot of things have happened to a lot of people late in their careers where the production falls off.
Yeah.
And that's a factor. Did you know Hank Aaron never hit 50 homers in a season? I don't know if Hank Aaron hit 40 homers in a season.
Yeah, he did.
40.
Yeah.
He didn't hit 50.
I know he didn't hit 50. He was just so consistent.
Yeah. That's it. That's how you become the fucking all-time home run king. It's like this has to be a factor. His injuries. I mean, that Giants Super Bowl, Chase Blackburn out-jumped Rob Gronkowski. And they're like, well, it's back. Oh, it's back.
I think for sure you do have to factor in the healthiness. And for some reason, people want to ignore that. It's weird because they don't want to ignore that with quarterbacks. Like, we always commend, right, quarterbacks who stay on the field, quarterbacks who make so many consecutive starts because it's so important. And you should do the same for all the positions. Anybody who can consistently stay on the field in the NFL in such an injury-riddled profession needs to be commended. And you are right. Gronk was amazing. I loved Gronk. I loved watching him play. I loved watching him on the field. Without a doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, but he was extremely injury-prone, and it does matter when you're not on the field. But ultimately, for me as someone who loves football, for me as someone who really enjoys watching how Bill Belichick coaches and, forms his team, it never mattered. And Patriots fans probably know this too, right? It didn't matter if Gronk was or wasn't there. That didn't affect my opinion of them winning a Super Bowl because it's such a fine machine that they're running in New England. It doesn't matter. One cog being gone from the machine doesn't matter because Bill Belichick is such a mastermind and such a great coach. I would 100% agree with you there. And the numbers don't lie about that. They've won 4 with him not playing and 2 with him playing. Now, has he helped them win those 2 Super Bowls? Yeah. He had an amazing catch against the Rams, which basically set up the touchdown to win this year's Super Bowl. But Praino is right. I mean,
and going back to that Super Bowl against the Giants, does having Gronk on the field not 100% cost them that Super Bowl?
I don't know about if I go that far.
Okay, but Tom Brady, there's some obviously close relationship between Brady and Gronk, right? And these guys love each other. Tom Brady, I'm sure, is writing a fucking, I will remember you music video to put on his Instagram about Gronk. It's going to be them on the boat in Dawson's Creek, like fucking, Dawson and Joey or something like that. But you did, like, throwing a jump ball is your security blanket in the Super Bowl that ends up getting picked off by a glorified special teamer who outjumps the GOAT tight end, Rob Gronkowski.
I mean, that's one play.
Right. My point is this. Rob Gronkowski is a top 4 tight end of all time.
Sure, without a doubt.
A top 5 tight end of all time, depending on, how much longevity matters. First of all, here's the thing. I don't know. First of all, Jason Witten's career is not over.
Yeah.
Okay? Do I put Shannon Sharp above Rob Gronkowski because he's was on the field for 3 Super Bowls with Gronk's too? No, I don't. Personally, I have Gronk over Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, personally. I would too.
Personally, and I feel like you're an idiot if you fucking argue otherwise. Gonzalez, Gates, and then your conversation can start.
Yeah, then that wouldn't bother me. The fact that you pulled up those 9-year stats for both Gates and Gronk
that are identical.
They're identical. Like, that blew my mind. I had no clue.
And then Gates
how
played,
similar.
And Gates was in year 17 last year.
Yeah. So that's very important. It really is.
But don't tell Pats fans that. They're of the impression that Gronk is Barry Sanders and Antonio Gates is Frank Gore. In case you're wondering why you should never listen to a Boston sports fan about fucking anything.
I mean, people are stupid. We know that. Come on. Social media has really put a spotlight on the stupidity of people's takes and the homerism. It's ridiculous. Guys, if you liked that video, subscribe to us on YouTube. Do it right now.
They're on YouTube.
Oh, that's right.
Right now. Smash the like button. Throw down on the like button, or up if it's over there. Or is it over there?
And leave a comment. Argue with us. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We'll respond to you. So you might get some more Bill Walton over here.
I don't know where the subscribe button is, but take your finger and throw it down on the button.